Hey guys, welcome back to the Power Bros. I'm Rob. Oh, Dom isn't here this week. Unfortunately, he had to have his appendix out over the weekend, so any excuse to get out of building a kit car, I guess. But this week, just me, and we're looking at putting the rear arms on. So what that involves is we've got a couple of rear arms, the suspension, and the upright that the drive shafts go into. But before we get stuck in, let's roll to the intro. So, as I said before, we've got a couple of arms. This is the top arm of the build. We've got the old MX5 hub. We got some new bearings pressed in, and we just refurbished, as you see on our previous video. We got that done at Alloy Stars, which done an amazing job. They stripped it down, powder coated it. We could push the new bearings in, put the new polyflex bushes in, and the bearings, and just painted up this hub. So that's nice. It's a nice clean finish, ready to go, because obviously we're building this car and we want everything as new and as nice as we can, obviously without spending a fortune. So for this job, you're going to need a few bits. Everything is supplied, so I'll show you in a minute. We'll pan over it. We've got some bolts to hold the arms in. We've got some polyflex little bushes, like little bushes and crush tubes. I'll show you how we push them into the arms, and that's with these crush tubes. They go in the middle. So yeah, we've got them. That's all supplied, and then it bolts onto the car. So I'll show you these bits that we've got. I'll show you where we're going to fit them, and then we'll get stuck in. So guys, now we're ready to start. Get the army on and put the bushes in. So obviously one in either side, then crush tube in the middle. First things to do, get a bit of lube on your finger. Put it in there, a bit of grease, should we say. Rub it all the way around, nice and smooth. That's going to aid the bush to push in nice and smooth. So what you want to do is get this in the centre and put it in the centre of your jaws of your vise. You could use a G-clamp, but I've got a vise, so we'll make use of it. Make sure it's nice and straight and flush, and then it'll push in nice and smooth. There should be no resistance. And what you want it to do, you just want it to go in nice and smoothly. So just no pressure. Get it in there, centered up, and then when you do that, it should just push in just like that. Lovely. Get the other side and do the same thing. So nice and centre of the vise, dead straight, and it'll just push straight in, no problems at all. We'll do that for both sides. Okay, so for this part, we need the crush tube to go in. This is for the bottom of the hub. So what we need to use is it's this 14mm big bolt. So out of your crush tubes, you will have 4 with 14mm holes in. So make sure you use the right one, because obviously if you use the wrong one, you'll have to push it out and re-push it in. So again, a little bit of silicone grease just inside there. This is just going to aid the pushing of the metal crush tube through without it causing any damage internally, and it will just glide in nicely. So make sure you flush again, nice and smooth, and it will just go in like that. Look at that, no pressure, straight in. Lovely. Same again for the other one. That is your crush tubes and your bushes installed. Just get a cloth. I had one pre-prepared. Just give it a wipe, take any excess off, because otherwise, if you don't take any excess off, you'll get dirt stuck to that, and no one wants dirt stuck to it. So now that is done, we can have a look at getting the rose joints into the top arm and getting them centered. Lovely. Okay guys, for the next bit, we're going to get your top arm, and we got these 2 threads. What I'd advise, and what the manual says, is to run a M10 by 1.5 tap down the holes, because obviously where it's been powder coated, you don't know how well and how clean that thread is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold it in the vise with these soft jaws, You don't need to go crazy tightening it up, just nip it up to hold it. And then, there we go. I went out to Screwfix today, bought myself a little tap kit, it's about £15 and it's got the M10 that I need. So, let's find that one. Let's get that. So let's just check it by hand. It should be reasonably good in there. Yeah, so it's not bad. It is a little bit dirty with powder coat, so that's why we do it. We'll give it a, just nip that up and then just gently sort of run the tap through the thread. Go like sort of 2 or 3 turns and then a turn back. That just cleans it out. We're just making sure that that thread is nice and clean when we put the rose joint in. I think we're nearly there. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, so I've run the whole tap right down. The rose joint isn't going to go in that far, but it's well worth doing. Nice and clean. So do the same again for the second thread. Always, I like to start it off by hand, just so you know you're not putting too much pressure in and you know that you've got it started nicely in the thread, because you don't want to cross thread something. So at least if you get a couple of turns by hand with your fingers, when you put the tool on, you know it's okay. There we go. Give that a little wipe, a little clean. Now get your rose joints that you were supplied. So you're supplied 2 of these. So what we want to do, first things first, any thread, any metal contact in certain areas, a little bit of this copper grease. I just put a little bit on the thread before you wind it in, and then if you ever have to do adjustments in the future, it'll be nice and it'll work. Whereas if you don't, it could potentially seize, and you don't want that for adjusting your settings, because obviously if you get it corner weighted, you just want it to go in nice. So now we've tapped that turns in real nice. That would have been probably quite stiff, I would have said, without doing that. That's going in all the way, which is nice. So we'll back that out because we don't need it in all the way. And we will do the second one as well, a bit of copper slip on it. In the manual it says, for starters, for your setup, this needs to be 40mm. So I would say that would probably be somewhere around there. But what we'll do, we'll get the bolt that we need. So that's the smaller one. And we'll just put it through the 2 rose joints and just put a little nut on the end to keep it tight. And then what you can get is something I prepared earlier, my caliper. This was from Screwfix as well, about £10. And you can use the top side of it to go in between the gap to measure the distance. So they said 40mm, so I'm going to go from the face of this to the face of the bolt. And it wants to be the same both ends. Just give myself a bit more room to play with. That makes it easier. So we know the bolt is 12mm. So if we go from the face to the base of the bolt, we need 28mm. This end is 31, so we can wind that in 1 turn. And that one needs to go in 1 turn. And then let's see where we're at. Obviously you want them both the same, it needs to be parallel. So if we just wind them in, we'll go 1 turn. And we'll try again. So we're looking for 28mm. Okay, 29mm, I'm happy with that because you don't want to go too much. Yep, both exactly the same, and that looks parallel to me. So now if we measure centre to centre, we should have the 40mm that we were required. Perfect. So now that's done, we can look at getting that installed onto the car, and we'll set you up over there, and let's get to it. Okay guys, so now we're going to fix the arms to the chassis. So we're going to start with the bottom one. So we'll mount to these 2 points here. So I've got my bolts all ready to go. Just put a little bit of copper grease on them just to keep them moving and free. And with this you have to put the bolts from the inside out. So a bit of copper slip on that ready to go. Let's get the arm in. Nice snug fit, that's always a bonus. So if you put the bolts from the inside out, I believe that's if when the bodywork is on, you can still get the bolts out in the future if you have to change the bushes or anything, because just here you won't be able to see it, but there's going to be a cover plate. So we'll go inside out, so we'll do that with the both of them. And at this point we're not doing them up tight, and that's because when you do your geometry you want all the weight of the car onto these joints, so that's when you do them up. So at the moment we'll just put them in, we'll do them finger tight, just so the nuts don't fall off, and we'll nip them up later on. So make sure you don't forget your washers on either side. Get them on both sides, and that's the first arm on, which is nice. It's quite straightforward, quite an easy job. So the next thing is to find the shock absorbers, and then that will mount from this point here to this point here. So let me find them. So refer back to the manual. So I've got my nice shocker. So these are a Protect shock. These are standard from MK. I had these on my Westfield. They're actually a really good shock absorber, and they're not too much money. You got dampening adjustment here, height adjustment on here, and I believe I just bought the manual because I thought we'd better check. I'm pretty sure the adjuster goes on the inside. I will have a look. Yes. So the adjuster wants to be at the bottom facing inward, and the actual bolts this time want to be facing forward. So we'll just undo these out of the arm and out of the body. And what we'll do, get some copper slip on these. Just a little bit, you don't need a lot, but it will just benefit us in the long run if we ever have to change anything, replace anything, take things off, adjust anything. It just keeps it moving. And I'm sure you can all appreciate that we've all been stuck with a real stiff bolt and it's been a bit of a pig. So start with the bottom one. Lovely, straight in, bolt facing forwards, adjuster facing inwards. Just do the up hand tight, finger tight, just for now, just to hold it on. Let's get a bit of copper slip. Oh, already done it, too quick. So now this one wants to come up. Mount up here, in there, facing forwards. Again, put your nut and your washer on. Now this is starting to take shape quite quickly, which is nice. What I'll do, save you being bored, that's one done anyway, you can see that. I'll get the top one done and I'll get the other bits and then I'll come back to you. So guys, got the top arm in, that's lovely. This bolt here was a little bit tricky, but with a little persuasion it did go in. It's just where the diff housing is, the diff mounting point, sorry should I say, it is a little bit tight. So now I've got my old MX5 part. I put the big 14mm bolt in the bottom, starting from the front, pushing it through to the back of the car. Loads of copper slip on that to keep this bit nice and lubricated, so when you're moving up and down it can just move and pivot on that point. So next thing we do is we get the long smaller bolt, and we can mount it at the top. Obviously this is only temporary because we still need to put the drive shafts in, but that will be on another video. So for this one, it does say in the manual to use 3 washers to space it out on this side, but what we've done is we've made a nice little spacer we machined up. A friend of mine's got a lathe, so quite handy. 3 washers is totally okay, that's what they spec, but because we've got the facility, I like a nice little spacer, so then if we have to take it apart again, which we will to put drive shafts in, I won't lose the 3 washers and have to buy some more. So at least I know there's one part, I won't lose it. So we'll just get this in for now, a bit more copper slip on that bolt, and then that is nearly this side wrapped up. This bolt goes from, let's have a look. This is done. From the front to the back again. So we'll push that up and we'll lift it up, or we can come down, whichever way. Let's get that in line from front to back. Just like that, that is your rear arms installed. Obviously not tightened up because you're going to do that once you've got the weight of the car on, but that is the rear arms and the rear shock absorbers all in. Take 7,000. I'm new to YouTube, so yeah, Dom's a natural, but for me it's taken quite a few times, keep messing up, but we got there in the end, and that's just the filming. The arms are done, the suspension's done, and the uprights are in. Now, I think it wasn't too bad a job. I don't know what you guys thought, but I think it was quite easy. So if you're a self-build, I think you'll manage totally fine. Would have been easier with Dom just to hold things, maybe read the book, but other than that, it went on all right. They're all on, and yeah, I'm pretty happy. I think we can get drive shafts in next, we can get the diff in, and yeah, then we can start on the front maybe get some wheels on and get it rolling. Yeah, so if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, because Dom weren't here, double tap that dislike button, and make sure you stay subscribed and tap that bell icon, because we're going to be dropping videos every single week on this build, and you don't want to miss them, because I've got some stuff planned that Dom doesn't even know about, so they're going to be a great watch. And all I'm going to say is, let's say it ain't staying the colour that we bought. And that is a little tip. Drop down in the comments, if you could do something with the colour, what would you do? Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye for now.